Well, season 2 reviews have started to trickle in, and they're really positive. So let's talk about season 1. I gotta say, I liked this show from the beginning. I know. Yeah, go ahead, throw your tomatoes at me, throw your bread at me. Why is that woman throwing bread if it's the French Revolution and bread is the most valuable commodity there is? Don't have an answer for you, but go ahead. Yeah, hit me with whatever you got. I deserve it. I've been vaguely planning to make this video for a very long time, and by that I mean it's been sitting in my backlog for actual months. And really, it's a now or never kind of time, because I really did like season 1 from the jump. Naturally, in order to defend my position, I needed to rewatch season 1, which I have done. I also needed to brush up on the nature of all the criticisms that were levied at the show when it first came out, which I've also done. There are a lot of valid criticisms of season 1 of Castlevania Nocturne. This show's got a lot of problems. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's perfect. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's even not deeply flawed, because after hearing some of the arguments made against this show, yeah, like, there's problems. Richter, Annette, and Maria all do become friends right away. They lack the push and pull dynamic that Trevor, Sypha, and Alucard had in the original series.
If you two can manage not to kill each other while I'm gone.
Oh, please. We're not children.
He shouldn't die.
Yes, fuck you.
This woman should not be throwing bread if she's starving. The Abbott choosing to side with vampires he has little to no hope of overcoming later just so he can squash the violent citizen uprising really doesn't make a lot of sense, especially since he's already got a forge. Just build your night creatures in the normal ethical ways, you know, digging up graves, picking up bodies from the street. There's a revolution happening, so that shouldn't be too hard to do. Make a deal with a sketchy 18th century coroner a la The Witcher 3, a la Good Omens. There's ways to do this. Ethically source your night creature. I'm sick of all these disgusting factory farmed night creatures. Free range, cage free. It's just not right. But if you must betray your faith and your people via killing the cattle, why do you necessarily need to involve the vampires? You have soldiers. It just feels like an added layer of abstraction that adds a lot of risk to his plan. How's he gonna beat the vampires once he's done with the revolution? All this being said, and there's a lot more that could be said, I still think this show is cool. In my opinion, Castlevania is, and always has been, a show more worried about style than it is about substance. No, the plot of Castlevania Nocturne is not airtight. Neither was the original series. No, Nocturne is not super faithful to the game lore upon which it is based. Neither is the original series. I mean, do you even really want it to be?
Mankind ill needs a savior such as you.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. How about you?
That's an iconic and hilarious line, and it's fun to quote, but in a show like this, it would feel really goofy and out of place. I'm not going to be one of those people that comes at you with, oh, the original stories of those games sucked. I'm not going to do that, but I will say that from what I've seen of those old games and the way that they're written, it doesn't really fit with the modern Castlevania series or this spinoff. So, they race swapped Annette. I understand the frustration with this, but to play devil's advocate, it does make sense contextually because in this series, she's supposed to be a runaway slave. Therefore, she would have to be black or some other minority. But then it could be argued at that point, you've essentially created another character, so why not just have her be another character? Why does she have to be Annette? I understand that, I get it, but again, since these series don't follow the game lore to the letter, I'm actually not that upset about this change. Some may also say Edouard is a completely pointless character. I disagree. Edouard is the reason that Annette is able to escape her plantation, and thus he plays an important role in the narrative, and I have a very strong feeling he'll be playing a much more important role in narratives to come. As a quick disclaimer, during the time of recording, I have not watched season 2 yet, so just keep that in mind before you go typing in the comments, well, but he's not really important in season 2. Haven't seen it yet. We'll be back here after I finish watching season 2, don't worry, and I'll talk about it. And if there's anything I need to walk back from this video, I will be more than happy to walk back and apologize for being wrong. But at this point in time, I don't know what their plans are for Edouard, but I imagine that they're more involved than him just being a night creature and fucking off somewhere else. Also, is it not an interesting idea to create a night creature and give him some humanity? A night creature whose conversion was botched in some way and now must grapple with where he fits in the world? It hasn't really gone anywhere yet, again, but I have a feeling that it will be going somewhere, and that's an interesting premise. I liked that. I've also heard it said,
I've heard it said.
Richter is a bitch. Richter is a coward. Richter isn't masculine. Are we serious here? Are we still in the era of it's not manly to cry? That's not stoicism. That's just stupid. Fuck off with that shit. Richter literally watched his mom die as a small child, traveled from Boston to Paris all by himself, and had to forge a completely new life. He lives with a lot of severe trauma that has not been addressed, much less resolved. So do I buy it when he flees because Orlok shows up again? Yeah, I do. I've heard it said, Juste does nothing. Juste is just a cameo for member berries. Maybe, but also, just like Edouard, maybe he'll have a bigger role to play in future seasons. Season 1 is extremely short, the episodes are extremely short, and we only saw Juste for like 2 to 3 episodes. A detractor might say, well, you need to design this series to be a standalone thing. It has to be self-contained in some way. And while I tend to agree with that sentiment, remember what I said about style over substance. I can forgive some contrivance as long as you furnish me with some cool Castlevania fights. And guess what? These are some cool Castlevania fights. There are some people who complained about the fact that slavery was being depicted at all.
Nah.
And that there were any black characters at all.
I'm triggered.
And that's woke.
We're woke.
To those people, I say, you're not even worth the effort. But also, are we going to sit here and pretend like the first series had no diversity? If you hate it now, did you also hate it then?
I've heard it said.
There are no good villains in Castlevania Nocturne. I disagree. I found Orlok to be really interesting. An ancient Aztec vampire. I mean, come on, that's a cool premise. But on top of that, his personality is interesting too. He plays both sides. He's intimidating and powerful. He's no Dracula, but I think he's way more interesting than someone like Carmilla, for example. The Vampire Messiah, and for that matter, her little crony, are essentially the exact same character as Carmilla, just comically evil, sadistic, vulgar. I find them all to be the exact same. And despite my gripes about the Abbott choosing a foolish path, I'm okay chalking it up to carelessness, because it seems like he's somewhat remorseful about his decision by the end of the season anyways. But I also found his comments about Judas Iscariot to be super interesting. According to Christian theology, Christ needed to die for the sins of mankind in order for mankind to be savable one day. So, when Judas betrayed Christ in order to bring about that outcome, did he really do the wrong thing? Or did he do what needed to be done according to the ineffable plan?
Huh? The ineffable plan is, well, it's ineffable, isn't it? By definition.
It's similar to the Eve partaking of the forbidden fruit debate. Did she really sin, or did she do what needed to be done? I don't know, I find that kind of thing interesting.
I've often thought about Judas. Traitor. Turngoat. But what would have happened if he hadn't done what he did? Was the whole world saved because of one man's betrayal?
The line also just gives insight into the mind of the Abbot and perhaps the hubris that has led him to this point. In a nutshell, it's interesting to me, and I'm willing to forgive a little bit of contrivance because, again, style over substance, and this gave me something to chew on. Here's my bottom line. Does this show have issues? Absolutely yes. Serious issues, and I can understand if you don't like it. Do the characters in Nocturne measure up to the original series characters? No, they don't. At least not yet, but they're not bad either. Does Edouard sing too much? Yeah, yes, I'll give you that one. 100%, I'll give you that one. And that first scene where he's singing as Sophia buries that phoenix, that was cringy as hell. I didn't like that. But I'll admit, him singing in the caverns while everyone fights, I found that to be pretty cool, not gonna lie. Most importantly, does Nocturne deliver on that sweet Castlevania action that punctuated the original series so well? Hell yeah, it does. And again, to me, that's what matters most. I tend to class Castlevania and things like it in the same bin that I class John Wick in. At a certain point, it really stops making sense. There's no way John tanks getting hit by a car and shot by 1,000,000 bullets by the time the credits roll. There's no way he gets shot off of a building, breaks his back on the railing and falls to the ground and survives and walks that off. There's no fucking way, right? There's holes, there's contrivances, there's conveniences, but I'm here for the action, man. That's what I'm here for. And with Castlevania, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the action. I'm here for the dark gothic themes. I'm here for the bloody, nasty, gory vampire kills. That's what I want. That's what I got. And with a show like this, if I don't hate every aspect of what surrounds the action, I can enjoy it. I can hold my hand up and, honest to God, say, I liked Castlevania Nocturne Season 1. I did. I can enjoy this, similarly to how I can wade through this
I'm a person, and my name is Anakin.
to get to this. And at the end of that film, I can hold my hand up and say, yeah, you know what? I like the Phantom Menace. A vampire slave owner who gets baked by the morning sun? A, that's scary as shit, and I did not think that this episode was boring. B, convenient/contrived graveyard encounter be damned. This was a satisfying kill to watch. The arrogant, pointy-toothed prick got what was coming to him, and I was there for it. Like I said, I'll be returning to Castlevania Nocturne with a review of Season 2, and if there's interest from this video, I'll even prioritize it for you guys so it comes out soon. But I've wanted to get these thoughts out for a while now, and again, it feels like it's now or never I gotta talk about it. Am I being hypocritical holding Yellowstone to a higher narrative standard than something like Castlevania Nocturne? Maybe. But again, I would still argue that Castlevania is more about the spectacle than anything else. It has moments of profundity, sure, but at its core, it's a bloody, action-packed romp, and as long as I get my fix, I can be forgiving. So forgiving I shall be, for now at least.